find rhythm in the dance, take a little chance. Do you wanna be inside my mind state? If I listen to you all, I would not evolve, steadily stuck in a sum of time space.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 29 of the Chris Talks Football Podcast. It has been a month pretty much since I last uploaded, but as we saw in the title of the episode, football is coming back. Football has come back. The Premier League has returned, and despite League 1 and League 2 being suspended, the Championship is back as well, and we'll get all the reaction to all of the games being played so far up until this point in.
See past your rulers, so just slow it down. Don't feel what I'm feeling. As I find rhythm in the dance, take a little chance. Do you wanna be inside my mind state? If I listen to you all, I would not evolve, steadily stuck in a sum of time space.
So as was said in the title, of course, we're going to look at the Premier League match day number 29, I think, and 30, all crammed together in one as part of Project Restart. And we will probably go by the games that have happened so far in terms of date order. And the first fixture that was actually announced for the dates for the Project Restart happening was Aston Villa against Sheffield United. Of course, Aston Villa trying to fight relegation, Sheffield United in the opposite end of the table looking to fight for Europe. And really well, obviously behind closed doors, there were no fans allowed in the stadium, of course, due to the lockdown measures. And of course, there were some crowd noises in other games. Not in this game. This game was total silence. You could hear everything, to the players shouting, to the balls, to everything. And, well, this is really what happened. Started off the brightly. Corner came in from Aston Villa, and in the early stages of the game tested the goalkeeper Dean Henderson, the shot from Conor Hourihane. They had another corner, Aston Villa, and this was probably a bigger chance. A header back into the box was nodded over by Keenan Davis. Should have really scored there, Davis. But at the other end, another corner was caught, this time by Orion Neeland, but he wouldn't have such reliability in catching, as this free kick from Oliver Norwood looks to have been carried in by the Aston Villa keeper past the line, with the side netting being the only thing that stood up to him. The referee, as you can see, has not got any indication from the watch telling him it's a goal. And as we look at it again, it was the wrong decision, because Neeland clearly carries the ball in. Really should have been a goal to Sheffield United. A failure of Hawkeye goal line technology and the interference of VAR, the two factors in that. But it wasn't the only chance, as Sheffield United would have a really powerful cross-come shot fizzed in into the side netting. Dean Henderson would keep his 12th clean sheet, producing a really good save at the end of the game. It's why he's one of the goalies in the running for the Golden Glove, and of course for the England number one spot. But Aston Villa losing out there 0-0 at Sheffield United. I think my thoughts on the game, obviously one of the key talking points in the game was the fact that Aston Villa could have scored through Keenan Davis. Really should have, though, with that knockdown. He climbed high enough, but Davis hasn't scored a Premier League goal this season, and that would probably be one of his better chances of doing so. They also had the shot at the end, which tested Dean Henderson. Henderson had to make two really key saves in the game, obviously, to keep out Conor Hourihane earlier on, as you saw in that little first part of the match highlights there. But those moments really overshadowed by the big one, is that the fact that Sheffield United were not given a goal for Oliver Norwood's free kick, which was clearly carried in, as you saw there, by Orion Neeland, and that was an absolute shambles there on the goal line technology. And also what was really confusing was the fact that VAR did not intervene with helping the goal stand, because that clearly was carried over the line by the keeper. The ball had too much pace and power on it, and that's why Neeland was carrying it past the line, using the side netting to sort of help him up, and he was very unstable. But it's ridiculous, because that will probably be looked back and they'll think that was the moment where he should have got the 3 points. For them, I guess the big question is now, will that disallowed goal rob them of European football? Well, Sheffield United in the table are still relatively high up. They're still in the top 7, so they still do have a chance at European football. I think, though, that this would have been a really big 3 points, especially for against a team that are fighting relegation in Aston Villa. Aston Villa had to sort of rely on other results to keep them out of it, but they didn't really deserve a lot from the game. They had their chances with Hourihane and with Keelan Davis. They missed them, and they got rather lucky in the end. The fact that the technology didn't work for Sheffield United, but it really is tough, a bitter pill to swallow for the Blade, because again, as I said, that 3 points could be the difference, or those 2 points rather, that were dropped could be the difference between a Champions League, a Europa League place, or maybe even no European football at all. Who knows? But all we do know is Sheffield United have had a good season. Dean Henderson, in 31 appearances, has kept his 12th clean sheet, which is one clean sheet every 2.5 games, which is an incredible record for a goalkeeper. Aston Villa didn't really deserve to win the game. Yes, they had chances, but in the end, I think it's a point, 2 points lost for Sheffield United, and a point gain for Aston Villa. So that's the way it is for them. Staying at the end of European football, 2 clubs who were looking to try and get Champions League were Spurs and Manchester United, probably one of the biggest fixtures of Project Restart so far. United really need a win if they want to try and catch Chelsea for that 4th spot in the Champions League. Spurs, of course, looking to get back on track after an unsteady run pre-lockdown. And, well, this is what happened in a pretty entertaining game. Manchester United started off really quickly out of the blocks in the first couple of minutes. They had an early chance. Marcus Rashford testing the legs of Hugo Lloris there with this pacey snapshot from a defensive header. But the goal that Spurs put them 1-0 up was a brilliant one. Steven Bergwijn running from his halfway line, a lot of pace, past 3 or 4 defenders into the roof of the net. But as you can see here on closer look, David De Gea really should have kept that one out. And Spurs still stayed dominant after the goal. Good running down the right hand side, a good cross in, and a brilliant save from Heung-min Son's header by David De Gea. Not quite making up for that horrendous mistake that led to Bergwijn's goal, though. Both goalkeepers needed to be in really good form, as we saw here from this shot from Bruno Fernandes outside the box. Relatively comfortable for the World Cup winner Hugo Lloris. Manchester United still came on coming, though. A shot again from Fernandes, whistled just wide of the post. As we look at the replay, that was really, really close to hitting the outside of the post. Luke Shaw's persistence, winning the ball back from his fellow fullback. A good cutback and an incredible save to deny the shots there from Hugo Lloris. Goalkeepers both worked their socks off today to keep the score as it was. Penalty was given, though, in the end for Manchester United after Eric Dyer had been deemed to obstruct Paul Pogba in his run. And Bruno Fernandes, who's been in good form, slotted away the penalty, bottom left-hand corner, to put Manchester United 1-1 up and rescue a point with them 10 minutes to go. Brilliant finish from the Portuguese midfielder. And that is the way it finished. Does very little to try and get these two sides to consolidate European football for next season. Manchester United pretty lucky there with the penalty, you could say, and of course the fact that Bruno Fernandes did score the penalty. But in the end, it was a hard-earned, well-deserved point. Tottenham, though, with the amount of chances they had, will probably see this drop 2 points as an opportunity missed to close up to those important Champions League places. On that same day, a big relegation battle, you could say, was happening as well at Carrow Road. Norwich, plumb bottom of the league, really needed a win against Southampton, who have one of the most informed strikers in the league. Danny Ings, of course, on 15 goals for the season. And if Norwich were to get a win, it would put them that much closer to safety and really make the relegation race hotten up towards the end of the season. Norwich had the first chance, and Emi Buendia whipped in free kick, came all the way to the back post where said man, Danny Ings, provided a brilliant challenge. Jack Stevens making a really good run, providing it to Danny Ings, who would hit the crossbar at the top at the end of the first half. Clear chance. But Danny Ings would not be denied this pearl over finish on the right foot. That's his 16th Premier League goal of the season. As I say, one of the most informed strikers and hotly tipped for an England call-up once the Euros do get back on track. Southampton then scored a second goal to all but ensure their Premier League status. Stuart Armstrong, the former Celtic man, slotting home with his left foot from about 20 yards. A neat finish past Tim Krul. Norwich still had an opportunity with Teemu Pukki, but that was scrambled and blocked around in the penalty area. Nathan Redmond, the former Norwich man, would put Southampton 3-0 up and confirm their status as a Premier League side for at least another season. Sharp turn, taking two players out of the way and slotting home. Southampton then, as I said, securing Premier League status really with 37 points. They really shouldn't get caught in terms of the relegation. But for Norwich, they've got quite a hard run-in of fixtures that they have left, and they really didn't offer anything. Teemu Pukki's chance was probably their clear-cut one. Obviously, they had the chance earlier in the game from the free kick. It was blocked by Danny Ings, who was really everywhere. Danny Ings and Nathan Redmond really were the two standout performers for Southampton on the day. And Southampton, they have too good a squad really to go down. And I knew that since the start of the season. But for Norwich, they just don't have the goal-scoring areas in midfield. In attack, they have Pukki, but that really is it. And nowhere else. And I think Norwich are going to be in trouble. And I think it's only a matter of time. If they keep playing like this and not creating chances to Pukki or Buendia, I think they could be in a lot of trouble and they could go down before the end of the season. Another big game at the top end of the table, you could say, was Manchester City, who got back after the hiatus of the Premier League. They were up against Arsenal at home, obviously in an empty stadium. Arsenal really need 3 points to try and get their track for Europa League football at least back on. Manchester City, of course, looking to consolidate second and keep the title race going for at least another week or so until Liverpool eventually win it. And this is what happened in that game. First chance of the game fell to Kevin De Bruyne from a free kick. And it would test Bernd Leno. Bernd Leno would be tested more than once as he kept out the Belgians' free kick. Leno, the only bright spark really in what would be a horrific game for Arsenal. Sterling's cut back there didn't reach anyone, and Arsenal fluffed the chance to counter-attack. A roll-out from the back, a mistake for Manchester City. Very rarely we see that was not punished with this long shot by Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Sterling again would test Bernd Leno. Really good hands by the German, proving he was the best Arsenal player in this game. Mahrez, the Algerian, testing Leno as well. He was up to it, saving with his feet. But as you can see there, it was a little bit of luck. David Luiz then made this horrendous mistake that allowed Sterling to score his first goal of the calendar year and put Arsenal ahead. And it would get worse for the Brazilian centre-half. As you can see there, trying to control it with his thigh, which was very unjustifiable. But Sterling rifled it home. Kevin De Bruyne then scored a penalty, which was as a result of David Luiz pulling down Mahrez. He would get sent off as a result of the foul. Manchester City would then put it to bed at the end of the game. Aguero hitting the post, but Phil Foden, absolutely no chance with the defender on the line. Making it 3-0 to Manchester City. And that keeps up the pressure for Liverpool to win at Goodison Park this week. City then dispatching Arsenal very comfortably 3-0. Of course, they had a man sent off, David Luiz. We'll get to him in a bit, but a controlled performance by City, and they haven't lost any of their swagger, even in the lockdown that's been in for 3 months, 100 days since, of course, the Premier League last had a ball kicked. But impressive. Sterling played well, Aguero played well, setting up the assist, you could call it, for Foden at the end. The penalty was a penalty, pulling down Mahrez, and of course David Luiz getting a straight red card. He was the last man, and it was just many things wrong with him. Why for the first goal, the error we're talking about. Why he's trying to control that with his thigh, I have no idea. I mean, just get your body in the way, just prevent it from getting through to Sterling, who's got a clean run and an opportunity to go past Bernd Leno. Leno was the only bright spark there, and even though Arsenal did have a chance at the start of the game, the defensive mistake which allowed Aubameyang to have a long shot, it was not on target. It was over by some considerable distance. So Arsenal again being bantered as they are. They're bantered in FIFA 20 and they're being bantered once again now. They are in mid-table pretty much, and it is not looking good for Arsenal. They really need to get back to form. Otherwise, they're not going to be in the Europa League next season, let alone the top 5, which their aim was at the start of the season, really. And with the money that they've spent in the past couple of years, you really have to say the project has failed. And will Arteta get the project done in time? Will it deliver success? It depends. But for City, at least the win goes on, and it's one more week, you would say, until Liverpool wrap up the title. But for Arsenal, they will not get Europe. Banter FC is what they call Arsenal, and again, it's happened again. 3-0 defeat to the Gunners at City. The good news is, just days later, the Gunners had a chance to react to the defeat at City by playing an away game at Brighton and Hove Albion, who are again fighting for their lives down near the bottom of the league. They really need to win, Arsenal, if they want to keep any slim chances of European qualification for the Europa League alive. Brighton, of course, need a win to stay up and improve their chances of survival in a feisty game. This is what happened in that game. Again, like United, a fast start for Arsenal. Youngster Bukayo Saka hitting the crossbar a couple of minutes in. Brighton then had their very own chance. Neil Maupay, cross shot into the gloves of Bernd Leno. Saka's cross and a brilliant header on target for Alexandre Lacazette, which was nicely saved by Matty Ryan. And then this will concern Arsenal fans as we see the slow-mo here. Neil Maupay caught Bernd Leno rather heavily, and as a result the German left on a stretcher. Real concern for them. Brighton had a really good effort on target there, testing the goalkeeper Martinez from Aaron Moy. Arsenal kept probing with Aubameyang, the shot, and then this counter-attack which sent Aubameyang through. He was onside, slotted past the Australian keeper to make it 1-0, and could this be 3 points for Arsenal as VAR checked the goal and it was allowed. Aubameyang still testing the goalkeeper. Nicola Pepe, though, would give Arsenal the lead with an absolute belter. Aubameyang's goal may have been offside, as you saw there in the replay, but this definitely wasn't offside. One of the goals of their season. Brighton then would answer back. Lewis Dunk's touch would send it over the line before he made sure, as you can see from the replay there. The defence couldn't keep it out. And then Arsenal still probing. A long shot testing Matty Ryan. Still, they couldn't penetrate the Australian in the goalkeeper for Brighton. And then Brighton at the end, stealing the 3 points. Neil Maupay, brilliant finish on his left foot. He was the one, of course, who injured Bernd Leno, and he got involved in an altercation afterwards when the final whistle blew. But at 3 points for Brighton and 2 defeats in the space of a matter of days for Arsenal leaves them with it all to do. Europa League now is pretty much down the drain. They do not have the resources. Leno, of course, could be out for a while. We need to know how long the injury will take. But again, Arsenal really not taking their chances. They had a lot, and despite Pepe's excellent finish, still isn't enough for the 3 points. Brighton, though, digged deep, and that has been a massive, massive improvement from last season. They didn't dig deep, and they rather got lucky in the end because their form in the back end of last season was poor. But now there was a bit of backbone to this side, Brighton, and that's what Graham Potter has installed. Neil Maupay suddenly firing goals once again. He's almost into double figures now for the whole season in all competitions, which is really big. And Brighton who were on 28 points, now break the 30-point barrier. They probably, out of their remaining 8-9 games, will probably, I'd say, need to win about half of those to get to 40 points, which is, of course, the barrier, really, that teams in the Premier League have to get in order to survive fully for a Premier League season. But yeah, I think if Brighton can get another 3 or 4 wins, I think they're home and dry. And Brighton, I said at the start of the season, would survive because they have goals in them. They have the creative players like Aaron Moy, who had a shot today, like Neil Maupay, like Leandro Trossard, who got involved. But yeah, again, Arsenal really not defending well and really should take their chances. That's why their strike force has not been as prolific as it was last season. No golden boot is the evidence for Aubameyang. Another team fighting for their lives are Watford, and the absolutely last team that they would want to come up against is Leicester City, fighting for second place. Obviously Nigel Pearson going up against his former side in what would turn out to be an absolutely pulsating game of football with a dramatic ending. Watford really need to win this in order to put some distance themselves between them and the bottom 3. Leicester gave it a good game, and they certainly had a good start. The cross coming in early on was defended well, although Jamie Vardy was lurking precariously, the top goal scorer in the Premier League. Vardy then had another chance. This effort would go wide of Ben Foster's left-hand post. Not acknowledging the pass there, the top goal scorer in the Premier League. Watford then had a chance, a defensive mistake by Leicester, capitalised by Doucouré, but the Danish goalkeeper Schmeichel would save the Foxes. And he would do that more than once, as a ball played through Ismaila Sarr one-on-one. Schmeichel's left hand denying the Senegalese winger, who of course performed so well against the Reds at Liverpool. Leicester then had another chance. Damari Gray's efforts firing just over the crossbar. He looks lively, great. And Chilwell could have had a shot there as he supplied the ball to the number 7. But thank God he did take this shot. An absolute perler into the corner of the net. Chilwell, England's best left back in my opinion, with a wand of a left foot. Brilliant strike into the back of the net. That's his second goal for this season, I believe. And they don't get any better than that. Arrowed with perfection. But it wouldn't be the only goal scored at Vicarage Road as the Leicester fans celebrate. They did not know what was coming, because at the end of the game, Michael Dawson, the former Spurs player, came up with this absolute perler to rescue Watford a point and deny Leicester all 3. How important would that be in the race for relegation? Watford really needed it, and Dawson supplied it. Watford go out of the bottom. Leicester ruining the chance to maybe get 3 points, but you have to say it was a brilliant goal by Michael Dawson to maybe extend Watford's chances of surviving in the Premier League, and that's all down to their manager Nigel Pearson. Of course, performing the great escape with Leicester, and he's in the process of doing it with Watford. They don't give up. Doucouré played really well, as did Ismaila Sarr, but it was the former Spurs man who got the goal in the end that separated the two sides. And Watford, they deserved it. They were never going to go down, in my opinion. They just had too much quality. Their defence has been okay in the past few games, especially since Nigel Pearson's been taken in. They've got creative players like De La Feu and Sarr and Doucouré and Capoue and Troy Deeney as well. They've got João Pedro, which they've just bought in from in January, which he could be an exciting player when given the game time. But for Leicester, it rather spoiled the goal and the moment for Ben Chilwell, because it was an absolute peach of a goal, probably the best goal of this weekend. So yeah, a bit of a bummer on that one. But for Leicester, all is still not lost. They can still go into second place. They still have time to reach second place, especially now that them and Manchester City are now identical in terms of points and in terms of fixtures and the quality of them that there will be in the last couple of matches of the season. Bournemouth went into this game having lost 13 of their last 18 games in Crystal Palace with the opponents. They had an early chance through Wilfried Zaha here, Their most creative player just blazing over.
Really
this absolute perler of a free kick from Luka Milivojevic would prove to be the first of an array of dominance for Crystal Palace. Brilliant free kick from the Serb, the piece specialist, beating Aaron Ramsdale, and it looked like Bournemouth were heading for a 14th defeat in 19. On the right foot, curled it over the wall, and a brilliant finish. Ramsdale couldn't keep it out despite his fingertips. Crystal Palace would still probe. They dominated the game, really. Bournemouth never had a sniff, and they got what they deserved, a second goal to kill off the game. Good from the left, Zaha, Van Aanholt, Ayew with the right-footed finish into the corner of the net. Precision, power, accuracy, all had it there in that move. Coming inside the two defenders, the pass, Van Aanholt with the overlapping run, and Jordan Ayew coming good this season, scoring his 9th goal in all competitions this season for Palace. Bournemouth's only chance came in the second half, where this shot curling wide by Junior Stanislas. For Bournemouth, that's a 14th defeat in 19. It really now is starting to unravel, and Eddie Howe surely must feel the pressure coming into the final couple of games of the season. Nathan Ake had a slight injury problem during that game, but Crystal Palace defended well, they held well, and it's now their 4th straight win in all competitions and a 4th straight clean sheet. And Crystal Palace are now above Arsenal. And now surely could Crystal Palace maybe start looking for higher ambitions, higher up the league? Because that should be a target of them, because Roy Hodgson has done an absolutely brilliant job with that squad. Got them playing. Wilfried Zaha performed, of course, was a big part of the first and second goal, providing a few key passes around the pitch. But of course, Milivojevic's brilliant free kick. I said Chilwell's goal was the better one, but Milivojevic's does give it a run for its money. But Bournemouth really offered nothing, and in front of an empty stadium, especially at this level, Bournemouth will need all the support they need. They will need their fans, because maybe it's partly why they've been driven to such high finishes mid-table recently. But it's looking really gloomy for Bournemouth, definitely. Another relegation rival is West Ham. West Ham out of the relegation on goal difference, and we'll see how they got on against a team trying to push up the league into the Europa League spots, Wolves. And could West Ham distance themselves from the relegation zone? The early stages were not really that promising to the Hammers, as Pablo Fornals really should have done better with this shot. With a player of that technical quality, he should be testing the goalkeeper at least, let alone smash it in to the top left-hand corner with his laces. And that's really about as good as it got for West Ham. That was their clearest chance throughout the entire game, as in the second half, Wolves turned it on. Adama Traore's wonderful wizardry work down the right-hand side, cutting it and crossing it in. Brilliant header for Raul Jimenez, scoring his 14th goal of the season. No Wolves player has ever scored more in a top-flight season than Raul Jimenez, and Traore getting double figures now for assists in all competitions this season. Poor man marking, as Jimenez was allowed to have a free header, but a brilliant delivery from Adama Traore. And Raul Jimenez, who's been the subject of a few interests from bigger clubs, scores, and Traore himself claiming interest, and Wolves really dominated the game in truth. West Ham didn't really have a lot of shots on target. This one from Mikel Antonio was closer than the Fornals' efforts, but considering it was further out, they do kind of contrast each other. Wolves then made the game safe again. Traore with quick feet, Doherty with a brilliant cross, and a wonderful volley from the youngster Pedro Neto, yet to turn 20 years old, a Portuguese youngster. He looks like he could be a man with an exciting prospect in the future. Brilliant shot with his left foot as well, which was what makes it brilliant. Adama Traore absolutely skinning two players in the build-up to that goal. Wolves edge closer to Europe. West Ham not doing themselves any justice there, making their task of avoiding relegation that much more difficult. And their 2-0 defeat wipes away really the slate of a good start that David Moyes had once he took in charge of West Ham in his second spell. It really has not been kind for the Hammers, and their last couple of fixtures really could be tough for them. They really need to pick up some points. They're yet to break 30 points yet. So I would say with the 8 or 9 games remaining, it really has to be, they have to now try and take at least a point or more from every other game. They have to really go unbeaten in these last couple of games, because this could be what sends them down. And West Ham, I predicted them to finish in 9th place at the start of the season. This would be such a disappointing season for them, considering the money that they've spent, the players that they've bought, and the fact that it just hasn't worked out for them. Haller hasn't scored double figures. Fornals, as you can see with the shot, as you saw at the start of the game, really, really poor. And this lockdown might have come at a bad time for West Ham. It might have come for a good time at West Ham. This might have just been a blip. Who knows? But for Wolves, this was definitely a very confidence-boosting result, because this now means, with Sheffield United not winning, it means that Wolves are in prime position. If they can win their last couple of games, get a few results here and there, they will be in Europe for a second season in a row. How brilliant would that be for the Molineux crowd, if there is one next season? Also, Raul Jimenez, goal-scoring legend at Wolves already. He has now scored more goals for Wolves in a top-flight season than any other player. He's 27 years of age. He's in his prime. Didn't work out for him at Benfica, but the new owners at Wolves, with the Portuguese connection, really have done themselves justice. And Jimenez, could he be off next season to maybe a bigger club, because that has attracted interest, his good form, for the likes of Real Madrid and PSG? But I think he'll stay. I don't think he'll go to Real Madrid. I think he will stay with Wolves. Maybe try and get them as far as they can into Europa League, because they're still in that competition along with Manchester United. So they can still win that competition. As for West Ham, changes need to happen. You cannot have this much money being spent and not results coming the way as a result of the cash being splashed. Then the other Premier League results that have happened so far, at least today, Newcastle beating Sheffield United by 3-0, and Joe Linton, who has scored only 3 goals for Newcastle all season, absolutely horrendous signing, finally breaks that duck. His last Premier League goal was against Spurs on match day number 2 of the season, and he helped Newcastle to a 3-0 win. Alan Saint-Maximin, their best player this season, absolutely sold the show. The Blades did go down to 10 men when Joe Linton was fouled by their centre-half, got sent off Sheffield United, and after that robbery against Aston Villa, they lose to Newcastle, which means with Wolves not being played a second game so far, as is Manchester United, I think the chances for Europe now for Sheffield United are looking slimmer by the match day, because they really need to take this opportunity. 2 away games, that should have been 2 wins being targeted, because they are very, very similar teams, and with the luck and the quality and the togetherness and the spirit that the Blades have had throughout the season, you would back them to get a result or make a game out of it. But that is it. Newcastle, of course, really just solidifying their status as a top half club. Steve Bruce with another clean sheet. It's looking decent for the Tsunami. Can they get 10th place now? So then the other Premier League fixtures happening today, really rather, is Aston Villa, who of course got a lucky point against Sheffield United, I have to say. They played Chelsea, who played their first match since lockdown. Can the Blues keep up with Leicester and Manchester City, try and get Champions League football, which would be an incredible achievement considering the squad? And of course the Merseyside derby, Carlo Ancelotti had them going a little bit of a run before the lockdown. Of course Liverpool, if they win against Everton and they win against Crystal Palace, they will be champions. So Liverpool will be one step closer to lifting that Premier League title if they beat Everton. My predictions: Chelsea will win against Aston Villa, and I think Liverpool will win against Everton, but I think it'll be a tight game, definitely tighter than Chelsea against Aston Villa. But speaking of Chelsea, I said I believe in February or March, just before the lockdown, I said, of course, I announced that Chelsea signed Hakim Ziyech for 40 million or so, I believe it was, from Ajax, and they've made their second signing because Timo Werner, the Leipzig striker, one of the best strikers in world football right now, has gone to Chelsea. They have paid his £54 million release clause, and with the style, of course, they normally play one striker up front, Chelsea. That is going to be their main priority, to get Timo Werner, their target man for next season. Tammy Abraham, I do feel a little bit sorry for, because he has been in really good form this season, scoring goals for fun. But it is, I mean, it's all about the quality of the striker, and the fact is, Timo Werner has more potential and more promise, and is one of the world's best already than Abraham, and Abraham's 3 years younger than Timo Werner. So I think it's not the greatest for Abraham to obviously have that competition for Werner, but I think Werner, will he be a success at Chelsea? It's going to be 50-50, I think, for him to be a success at Chelsea, but they need the creativity in the midfield and the wide areas to supply balls to him. He's over 6 foot, he thrives, he's skillful, he's an aerial threat. Werner, to score goals, the creativity must be the highest it's ever been this season. The Premier League isn't the only competition returning. The Championship has returned this weekend with a few fixtures, and 2 fixtures are really, really intriguing. West Brom and Leeds, of course, the 2 teams looking to go up. West Brom drew with Birmingham 0-0, meaning they're on 71 points, and Leeds United faced Cardiff in an opportunity to go to the top of the table. Would Leeds take it, or will the Bluebirds come up trumps?
In by Calvin Phillips, Ayling with the flick and hooked away from the goal. Well, it'll be Will Vaughan who got to it. It was evasive action that had to be taken. And an opportunity here on the counter-attack. It's Junior Hoylett, options left and right. Hoylett! It's a blistering finish. And out of nothing, Cardiff City hit the front. A Leeds mistake, which led to Junior Hoylett, and he made no mistake. Tyler Roberts found just a little pocket of space. It's Harrison that was blocked by his own man, and the flag has gone up. I think it's Brentford on the goal line. It was.
Well, I'll tell you what, when things like this happen, it always makes you wonder, is it going to be one of those days?
Bamford with eyes on that, gets his head on it, and somehow Smithies managed to make the save. How did he get to that?
Well, that is brilliant all round. It really, really is, but particularly from the goalkeeper. This is outstanding.
Space here for Glatzel. It's Glatzel! He put it away brilliantly. This is Cardiff City's office. This is where they take care of business. And they are in the business of trying to bring Premier League football back to this city. Leeds United in big trouble in this city again.
Oh dear, have Leeds United got that sinking feeling again? That feeling that it might not be their year, the year that they again bottle promotion. A 2-0 defeat at Wales to Cardiff City, Robert Glatzel, and I believe it was, I can't remember who the second scorer was, but it was Robert Glatzel, I know, who scored one of the goals. But Leeds didn't really offer anything, and their luck was summed up with that shot, and the fact that Patrick Bamford blocked it on the line, really accidentally, of course. But that just sums up their playoff luck in the last couple of years, especially last season, where they lost it spectacularly to Derby. Well, I hope Leeds don't bottle promotion. As for Cardiff, they're still in with an outside shot of a playoff place. Can they do it? The squad is definitely the same value as it was last season, so maybe don't count the Bluebirds out for a shot at the playoffs.
De Cordova-Reid. Tom Kearney. There's Cabano. Knockouts. Kearney again, edge to shoot. He plays the ball instead to Harrison Reed. Nice pass to De Cordova-Reid, who strikes the woodwork. Beautifully crafted by Fulham. Here they come again. Cabano. Knockout with his left foot. And he wasn't too far away. Fulham knocking on the door. Tom Kearney. Joe Bryan with the cross. Brilliant reaction save from David Raya to keep out Mitrovic. It came flying towards him and he had to react. Emiliano Marcondes. Marcondes in a pocket of space looking to measure the cross, and he did, and it's been bundled in at the far post. Saeed Benrahma sensed the opportunity, made his way in, and he may just have delivered the knockout blow in the West London derby. And it goes towards Sylvester Jasper, who's lit up the under-18s in the last couple of seasons with his wing play. There's Brentford's wingman Saeed Benrahma. They're pouring forward here. Emiliano Marcondes. Marcondes! That will do it! Brentford double their lead late on at Craven Cottage. It's their day in the West London derby.
I'll tell you what, Brentford are probably the most exciting team in the Championship right now. Not the best, but the most exciting. They've got talent, they've got flair everywhere on the pitch. Their defence is rock solid. They didn't really have a lot of chances there. That 2-0 win at Fulham means Brentford are right back in the playoff hunt. They're only, I'd say, less than 10 points behind Leeds. So if Leeds can bottle it, Brentford will be poaching if they do. So then, with the Championship being done, let's talk about another piece of big news, is the fact that Bayern Munich have won their 8th consecutive Bundesliga title ever since 2012. They've been the most successful German team in the country. And the league wasn't as competitive as it was last season, with Dortmund losing to Mainz, but it is Bayern who prevail. Robert Lewandowski, probably top 3 players in the world right now, alongside Messi and Ronaldo. He has been on fire, and to be fair, he scored 40 odd goals. He scored the goal against Werder Bremen, which won them the league. He scored over 200 goals. He came on a free transfer from Pep. What else can you say about him? He's been an absolute revelation this season in the Prem and in the Bundesliga and in the Champions League. But Borussia Dortmund will come back again stronger next season. Hopefully with Jadon Sancho. Will he stay at Dortmund, or will he go to Man United or Chelsea, the 2 places where it's revealed that he might go? And also, Bayern Munich, could they be in the running to sign Leroy Sané, as Sané has said that he does not want a contract extension at Manchester City, indicating that he'll probably go in the summer. So Bayern Munich will have vultures swooping around the young German player. But also, the Champions League and Europa League tournaments could be back on track after it was said that Portugal and Germany will be the 2 countries where the tournament would be continued in the round of 8 Robin tournament. The last 16 ties would be continued over 1 leg, and the rest of the tournament would be as it is. The only problem is, though, is that pretty much most of the tournament will be done in August, when hopefully the domestic seasons of the leagues will end. And you're probably thinking, what's wrong with that? Well, obviously there are bigger things at football to think about. And of course, while the league in Germany has been a success, Portugal, we haven't really got as much of info as we have in the Bundesliga. So for it to be decided in Germany and Portugal, with the risk of the second wave, of course, because there are teams all across Europe that are competing in the Champions League. For example, Manchester United against Lask in the Europa League. Of course, Lask is an Austrian team, and Austria still has a few cases of COVID-19 in their country. So the fact they will be played in Portugal does mean that there might be a risk of the second wave. But also with the fact that the tournament will be staged in just a 3.5 week scheduled distance, it would increase the fatigue. It will give players who might not normally play a chance, definitely, but there are bigger things than that, which is the health and safety of the players, and of course the fitness levels, because matches can be affected more than you think with the fitness levels. If the fitness levels are low, if the risk is high, of course. But it's, it's what UEFA and FIFA have decided to do. Hopefully it goes well. Hopefully it's a success, because by September I really do want football to be back to normal. All domestic leagues starting in August, September. Hopefully that will be a possibility, not necessarily a probability. So yeah, hopefully the Champions League will do that. And of course, if that does happen, with the calibre of teams left in the Champions League, of course, we do not have the defending champions Liverpool. They were knocked out by Atletico Madrid. We have an exciting tie. Of course, Chelsea and Bayern still have to play their last 16 ties. So who knows, maybe Chelsea could go to the Allianz and beat them 4-1. If the game, of course, would be staged in the Allianz, hypothetically. But yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the Champions League pans out. They've got, other teams in there. Atalanta, a pretty good team. It'll be interesting to see how they get on in the Champions League. They've obviously beat Valencia, who were in Chelsea's group, and gave Chelsea a pretty fair good game. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Europa League, Manchester United and Wolves will get pretty far. Rangers, of course, lost against Bayer Leverkusen. Celtic, of course, are out of the Europa League. If Rangers can go to Leverkusen and overturn the deficit, it would be amazing, because I really do want to see a Scottish team, Rangers or Celtic, go quite far in the European competition. It's been a while since I said that, because it feels like about 1 million years ago since Celtic beat Barcelona 2-1 in the Europa League group stage, for any OGs who do remember that game. So I want to end quickly on the Coppa Italia, which has concluded in the last week or so, of course, after the lockdown in Italy. Napoli prevailed in the Coppa Italia final against Juventus on penalty kicks. Napoli won 4-2 on penalties, and it ends Juventus' cup dominance, at least. What does this say for Italian football? Well, it's not all gone. There is still hope that the farmers' leagues, in quotation marks, will become more competitive leagues, like the Bundesliga is starting to become more now. But yeah, props to Napoli, deserved it. Brilliant players in that Napoli side. And it's also the first time that Cristiano Ronaldo has lost, I think, two finals in a row. I'm not really too sure about that one, but it is the first time that he's lost the final with Juventus domestically this season. But that is going to wrap up this episode of the Quiz Talks Football Podcast, episode number 29. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, hopefully we can try and get 50 subs to the end of the year, maybe even 100, who knows, anything can happen. Hopefully you guys stay safe, because even though I'm talking about football, the safety of everyone is the most important thing in these terrible times. Hopefully you guys stay safe, take care, love, peace, and I'll see you guys next time.